should be live. Okay, so yes, I know round 9 is in progress, but okay, let's do the round 8. This was pretty critical round, I guess. Okay. So let's start with this kind of important game. So it was English, and we spoke about this d4 system, and then white plays for a small advantage, and black goes for the repetition, but white plays rook e1, and this looks very, very tactical. Okay, but small advantage white because of the better superior pawn structure, yeah, and pawn and better bishops. A4 makes a lot of sense because if you want to run this pawn here and then knight goes to b5 to a7, kind of makes perfect sense. Yeah, the computer says bishop g2 followed by f3 e4, taking control of the center, so you can later put the knight here, but I don't know. Rook ac1 also makes sense, but a4 is also not bad. Okay, knight g5. What is the idea behind this move? It's possible to play this, yeah, because black really needs to get rid of this bishop. Hey, great, Denton. Hey, Fontenhorst, some guys. Yeah, I'm doing the recap for now, and then we'll do the event, and then I can chat more freely. All right, so f3 makes sense. And he blundered. He pretty much blundered at one move. Yeah, bishop c8 or takes bishop c8, and black is fine. He blunders now. This knight has nowhere to go. Yeah, so he has to play this. And that's pretty much winning for white. I wanted to see how he converts the advantage. Apparently not the greatest move. Knight b6, knight a4, actually. And it's unclear if white can win this. So he went from large advantage to no advantage, yeah. But he got very lucky. Black played this bad move. And okay, how does he convert? Knight b5 makes sense. Knight a3 still, or e4. King e4 apparently is not the best move. But I don't get it. Why is it so good? You check. King e5, you play rook a2. Pretty obviously, yeah. But if you don't do this, then black plays g5. Yeah, black is actually rook and the pawn versus two minor pieces. In general, this is good, but in this position, because rook is so bad. Yeah, now he comes out. But you get the passer. You get the pass pawn. Check. And a5 you need to play, yeah? Because otherwise white just takes here. So if you play g5, you actually don't have time for this, yeah? Because the king stops the pawn and then you run this pawn and you take knight and take the pawn. Okay, so white must calculate this exactly, yeah? Here, bishop c4, and now pawn has to run thanks to this check on f5. So the pawn runs here, e6, f3 is e7 thanks to the spin, and now the queen is coming. So the king is going, then still here. F2. You take the pawn. Take. King takes. And the important thing is to keep this bishop and knight controlling the square, yeah? Yeah, just 94, 92, yeah. Completely winning. Alright, so here, 91. Black is now okay. Should have played g5. Finally plays it, but here another blunder. Another blunder, but it's not easy to see how you play correctly here, yeah? Knight f4, and he must find this move. You need rook here so that there is a check if white goes king e6. The bishop moves. Ah, beautiful, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so very sharp game. Alexander had several chances not to lose, but 94. And then here takes and c4. c3, king is here, attacks the pawn, and knight goes to b3. So white wins. Alright, that was the first game. Then we saw this game, yeah? Then we saw this game, which is very, very solid line. Queen c5 here. Yeah, white's extra pawn here is... yeah, okay, this was still very sharp because white kept his extra pawn, it's doubled, but it's still extra. So it was not so simple. Rook b4 is probably not so great. Yeah, a6 with the idea of activating the rook and hoping for the rook going to the 7th is probably the best way to play this, because now it's just threefold repetition. Okay, so after I left, the game didn't last much longer. Yeah. All right, this was super sharp. Now it's very technical. Bishop on the a7 is completely equal. Black is maybe slightly better. But after this, just draw. Yeah, just draw. Alright, so this is draw. These guys played bishop c5, yeah. And this endgame was considered to be a little bit better for white, but black is fine. Because white double pawns, now he's undoubled them, but black protects the central pawn really well. And they agreed on a draw. And the last game was this one, yeah. And that was the good old Queen's Indian, advantage white. I'm actually very surprised that Aronian didn't win this, because he was supposed to win this. 95. Because white's advantage was pretty large. G4. Ah, because he played this bad move, yeah. He didn't see a 4 line. Okay, so here. And now, yes, this was forced equal. King c2. And white found this correct setup. And pair of bishops and a pawn versus rook and bishop is just completely equal. White's bishop, this bishop protects absolutely everything. So it's just that draw. Neither white nor black can play for a win this. But okay, let's see. Maybe Grandmaster's blunder something. Actually, white has 2 bishops and 2 pawns, yeah. So it's actually kind of a little bit better, but stops f5. Okay. Here, white had a moment, yeah. White had a moment to play bishop b6. And if rook goes here, then white wins actually. White is winning this one because king goes to this pawn very fast and promotes. So there was a moment where Aronian could have posed problems. The way to solve these problems is black must give up the exchange. If you grab an exchange, is fine for black, because he goes and takes all this pawn while the king goes here and blocks everything. So that's why the computer plays king c3 here, does not take the rook. And now he is playing for the spin, but I don't know how good that is. Yeah, computer puts the bishop on d6, so the king can go to b6, but okay. So what happens in the game? Okay. So bishop g6 hits the pawn, so the h pawn can roll. Take on f4. King g7 here. The threat is a7. Rook f8 must be played. So black is fighting for a draw. The pawn cannot be recaptured because of the check and bishop b8. So here, and after this, it was black that could have won the game. My God. Black could have won this game. How? King b7. Because h4, h3, and the trades, and king comes after this pawn. So how does white make? Yeah, white is lost here, you know. So Gukesh could have won this game actually. Yeah, it's kind of incredible. Yeah, he just wanted to make a draw. Yeah, he saw he was fighting for a draw the whole game, and now he sees a draw, he just follows it. Yeah, but if he was thinking for a second, he could have found that this is actually win. Was he afraid of this? Maybe. Then bishop d6. Yeah. But now the bishop is here. Now you play rook a8, and white is not in time. Yeah. Here, take h4 because he needs to spend time to move the bishop back. And now h3, bishop here, and king g1, and king removes this bishop and promotes the pawn. Yeah, that was actually pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. All right, so that's the recap of round 8 is done. Okay, let me quickly stop the stream and come back in a few seconds. Be right there.